Hey guys, thanks for sticking around. My name is Kristen, if you're joining us the first time, and I am here with Andrew of Mox Boarding House. Andrew, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, of course.
We are going to talk about new game releases today. But first, can you tell us a little bit about Mox Boarding House?
Oh, yes. So these games I brought with me from Mox Boarding House, which is a friendly local game store, both in Seattle and in Bellevue.
Now, you guys are coming to Portland too soon, right?
Yes, we are actually
that's exciting.
there. We've had two stores for about 5 or 6 years now, and Portland is next in the Mox line, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've looked around for a really long time, and we've decided Portland's going to be really the best next step.
Absolutely.
So we're excited to come down there. But at Mox, it's a little bit different than the game store experience that a lot of people have had previously. We like to have a large open space. We're open until midnight every night. We have a full restaurant at all of our locations, and you just get to hang out and play games. It's actually a place very, very focused on the community coming together and just having a good time.
Mox Bellevue is my personal FLGS.
Oh,
so yeah, I'm there all the time. So if you guys are going to be in the Seattle area anytime soon, or if you live in the Seattle area or in the Portland area coming soon, definitely check out Mox Boarding House. I mean, honestly, my friends and I go to play a game, grab a beer, and grab a snack, and it's always super fun. The staff is always super nice.
It's a good time.
Yeah, it's a good time. Okay, so, but that's not what we're here for today. We are here for games. Is that right? Okay.
Right. We are here for the new releases. There were a lot of really interesting games that came out this week. The previous week, there was almost like a theme running of roll-and-writes that
I remember that.
A lot of roll-and-writes all came out very similar times. And there will be more to come, certainly. But this week, we have a very wide variety.
Non-theme.
Yes,
the theme is no theme.
Games, yes. A lot of them are standing very much apart from one another. And one of them that I want to start with here is actually called the Slide Quest.
Ooh.
Now, Slide Quest here is a cooperative game made by Blue Orange. And what first drew me to this game is that it looked like Hungry Hungry Hippos.
It does.
It actually has
Let me show you guys the back.
Yeah. On the board itself, there are 4 positions where players sit with a plastic handle on the end.
Love it.
So I was like, all right, I'm already in. However, this game ends up being a pretty tricky cooperative game.
Okay.
You are using these levers to actually manipulate the level of the board and cause the knight to roll around.
Oh, like those old marble games, yeah?
In
like
fact,
the puzzle games?
Yeah, the knight is it's a piece with a marble underneath it.
Okay.
So there are other pieces that get placed on the boards, but because that knight has the marble underneath, there's a little bit less friction, and you're moving the knight around to either avoid obstacles or attack monsters. There are, I believe, 20 or so different boards that come in this box, and you can play with up to 4 players. And if there's only two of them, if you and I are playing, we'll each handle 2 of the levers, and we'll try and achieve whatever the goal is.
So you have to work together to try and get the knight to...
Yes.
Okay, I don't know if that's my speed of game.
Right. Yeah, so this is where we're starting here. We're starting with cooperative initially. We're going to get into much more of the versus
If
system.
you guys have ever watched me on Table Takes or other streams before, you probably have heard that I'm not super into cooperative games. Like, they're fine. Right?
Wow.
Like, they're fine.
So succeeding in a cooperative game is like the silver medal. It only goes up to like, okay.
It only goes up to silver.
Yeah, it only goes up to silver there. Okay, well.
It does seem super cute and fun, though, honestly. And it looks like a good, like, family-friendly or even like a party game almost.
Right. So that was my initial take on it. I think that this is going to be great for different ages working together on.
Yeah.
That being said, I looked at some of the missions in this, and it's not just get the knight from one side to the other and avoid these obstacles. There are times when there's a monster on the board, and you must maneuver that monster into a specific hole and then take an object from the board and move it into that hole on top of the monster.
Okay, that sounds a lot harder than I thought.
Right, and I know I will just like smash the lever when like when we're going when
Yeah,
things
yeah,
are going
yeah.
sideways. See if I can
Right.
jump the knight across the board,
Right.
something like that. I imagine this is going to actually get a little more difficult than it looks like it will.
Yeah. Okay. It's a little not pinball, but skee-bally kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit there. But the
Okay.
art's fantastic to it.
It looks super cute.
I think it's going to have a lot of replayability to it as well.
20 levels. That's what you just said. Wow.
Right.
In the base game. That's awesome. I wonder. It'd be interesting. I wonder if they're going to do expansions for this as well.
Right. This is a game that is, I think, very easy to expand upon, just because you have all of the components. All you need for expansions are either more boards or just a few more characters, that kind of thing to add to it.
Okay, so if you're looking for a family-friendly game, or if you're looking for just kind of a lighthearted game, this sounds like
Oh, yes.
the right one for you.
If anyone out there has been playing a game called Magic Maze, Magic Maze is another very, very fun cooperative style game that has a unique mechanic to it. That mechanic in Magic Maze, by the way, is you are not allowed to talk while you're playing.
Oh.
And it breaks down the communication, and you're trying to get people to maneuver around the board as quickly as you can because you're timed. This is another unique mechanic that's added into a family-friendly cooperative game.
So it says video game, board game on the front. Right,
Right,
what's a video
so
game about
I
it?
haven't actually played
Interesting.
the video game.
Oh, but there's a
side of it.
video game
Yeah.
version of it. Oh, okay, okay. Oh, I bet it's a mobile game, isn't it? That makes sense.
Oh,
I bet.
no, I haven't
bet. Well,
played
someone
Side
can
Quest.
tell us.
Yeah.
Someone can tell us. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you.
Right. So that's Side Quest. Going from a cooperative game and switching gears.
Ho, ho, ho. The segues continue
Yes.
on new release rundown.
Is Getaway Driver.
Okay.
Okay, so this game, as soon as this game came out, this is struck a lot of us because we recognized the art immediately on the box. This art is very similar to a lot of the Tim Fowers games like Burgle Bros, Fugitive,
Okay.
and like Paperback. I believe it's the same illustrator for that. However, this is, I think it's Jeff Beck. Yes, Jeff Beck.
Okay.
So Jeff Beck has worked with Tim Fowers in other developments of games. Jeff Beck, I believe, did Hardback. And in this, he's doing Getaway Driver. Now, this is a game where it is 1 versus 1.
Perfect.
Yes, exactly.
And, all right.
One person is running and one person is chasing.
Oh, so it's a little asymmetric.
Yeah, oh, entirely.
Okay.
And it's very, very cool how it actually plays out. You have all of these, you have the initial car that is running away, and it is a tile placement game. However, wherever the driver is running away, the police and all their equipment, they actually end up placing tiles face down as the driver discovers them as they're trying to careen through a city.
Okay. Okay. It looks super fun. So it's 2 players. It's a 2-player game only.
Right.
Asymmetric. So this is something I am 100% in on.
Right.
Like, 1v1, asymmetric.
Right.
Anything that involves a little bit of strategy, like that is my jam.
Yes, there is strategy involved about which tiles you are placing down where, so that you may give me an easy street to go through, but you know I'm going to be heading towards another part of the city that we've been building that will be more difficult.
So I can screw you.
Oh, absolutely.
Perfect.
You actually will get like spike strips you can throw down,
Yes.
all that kind of thing. However, the driver, this is the hero from a heist movie, so they can actually use a card and like put the car up on 2 wheels and like avoid something, or like go
okay.
through a fruit stand and like slow down the cops and stuff like that. There's a lot of like really, really funny, very campy cards that go along with that. Like they definitely take a nod at some of the less serious spy driving
I love it.
movies, that kind of thing.
And the art is gorgeous. I love the art. It's very cute.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so that's by Jeff Beck. That is out already this week.
Yeah, all of these that we have here are currently out and available, so be sure to come in and check them out.
Or at your friendly local game store as well. If
Right.
they don't have them,
Yeah.
Write down the title, and presumably you can talk to the employees there to order something for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, some of these we have more copies of than others, and then with board games in general, distribution can be kind of up in the air about
Sure.
whether or not someone's going to have 10 copies or 0. So yeah, be sure to call, check it out, or come in and try one of these before you buy it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Getaway Driver, I'm very, very excited about this one. A lot of people a lot of employees in the store are. We do already have an open copy in our library, and I'm tempted to just take this one home myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like a great one. I'm definitely going to be into that one for sure.
Cool. Getaway Driver, that's the next one there. Let's see, next up, actually, this one kind of caught me by surprise. This is yet another small box game here called For the Queen. Now, this is entirely a storytelling game.
But it's a card game?
Yes, well, it's a card game in the sense that there are card prompts for this. But this little box, it's a collaborative storytelling game about the queen, and the queen being, could be like under attack, and how you're responding to that. This is a game made up of prompts where you get to actually sort of build into a story that I guess, can go any way that the group wants it to go.
Okay.
So on the box here,
Yeah.
it actually tells you you'll use the prompts to collaboratively tell a story of love, betrayal, doubt, and devotion.
Okay.
So there are
a little social deduction-y maybe in a way? Not quite.
it's sort of building off of one another's stories. So this
Okay.
actually feels much more like a
I see.
like a little bit more of a whose line is it anyways style of like improv. The prompts are
okay.
like improv lines that come up, or situations that you have to respond to. So
Interesting.
if we're traveling with the queen, a prompt might come up and say, "Oh, why does the queen trust you? What did you do to gain the queen's
and
trust?"
then you have to, on the spot,
right.
come up with,
tell the story of why that happened.
When we were children.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And other people can build off of those stories, and you end up building characters as you go through.
That is very neat.
And I believe there are more than a dozen different queens in this box that you actually get to build off of. But the way the prompts and the storytelling goes, it can go anywhere from like half an hour up to like two or more hours.
Depending on how you want to play the game, really.
Right. It depends how much you want to build into the story. Now, with that in mind, I think you want to know this game before you bring it into a group, because this is a game that I think is going to be most beneficial for people that know the group they're playing with. They're all willing to invest in and tell a story. Now, the prompts certainly help with that, because it's not just asking someone to write a fantasy story about this wonderful
on the spot.
queen full of deceit and treachery and love and romance and all of this. So there are prompts that help you do that. But I would say definitely know the people you're playing with, and come together to make this story. So it isn't, I'm sorry to say, it isn't competitive.
Darn.
However, if you're telling the story, you can make it
I can make it what I want.
You can make it competitive.
I mean, it says it's a cooperative game, but really, I feel like that's more...
Well, it's collaborative.
Collaborative,
We work together to make a story. It's not a story about us working together.
That's true. That's
so
true.
So we can tell the story about me trying to get this knife out of my back.
Well...
And where that knife came from.
How did it get there?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So
that sounds really cool, actually.
For the Queen. This is one that I haven't played myself yet, but I've looked through some of the components in the cards and watched some people try it out. So I'm excited to see the reception for this one, how it
and where
compares.
folks take it. Yeah.
Right, because I don't actually have anything strictly to compare this to.
Right.
I think people that may have enjoyed a Fate style RPG, where more than one person has a bit more control and responsibility for the environment and for the story, instead of one person just leading it.
Right.
That's the kind of storytelling that's going to be happening in For the Queen.
Okay, so if you're into collaborative storytelling, if that sounds interesting, if you and your friends are close,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, you don't even have to be close, but like open to creating this world and this story together.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My friends and I just stab each other in the back.
Yeah, and that can happen. So that might be a half-hour game.
Right.
We're gonna see.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah. Well, that was fun. We'll see who's left, and that's for the queen.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Next up, there's a very interesting on the far end there. This is, I believe, it's Gia Academy.
Ooh.
So Gia Academy,
It looks very pretty. Is this a Renegade title? No,
actually,
it's
no.
not. That's interesting.
This one is not. There's another game that this is heavily based off of called Hanamakoji.
Oh, yes.
So this is a 2-player game. We will be playing against one another very specifically.
I like Hanamakoji.
Yeah, and in Hanamakoji, there's a line of geisha that you are using gifts to sway their influence to come to your side or your opponent's side, because you're trying to bring them in as celebrities to draw more people into your establishments.
Right.
In Gia Academy, you are actually performing very much a similar play style, but instead you are trying to gift scholars many gifts to try and sway them to your side in the academic field.
Sure.
So you're trying to get them to either write for you or study for you or do research, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But what makes this game still stand out is that the play style is very unique. It's a 2-player game, and it's sort of a perfect information situation where the actions that your opponent's going to take is a limited actions pool. So there are 4 unique actions you can take, and you take them in any order you want, one at a time, back and forth.
Yep.
But those actions can be, I'm going to put down 2 piles of cards. You choose one for me to discard and one for me to keep. Or I get to draw a card and replace one on the board. And we start running out of options as we play through and sort of trying to position ourselves to get these academics to be on our side.
And I love Deepwater. Honestly, like Deepwater consistently puts out some really good stuff, for sure.
Yeah, so the art style with this, the gameplay with it, it's very pleasant. It's also a quick play. It's a 15-minute game.
Great.
Yeah. This is also going to be something that, of course, if you played Hanamakoji, it's excellent. This is another, like Getaway Driver, this is a 2-player maximum game. So 2-player only, if anyone likes something like Lost Cities is a really good example, where you are trying to reveal information as you go and try and gain as much influence on one side or the other as you can.
Okay.
That might be another one that if you played that, Gia Academy might be something that you would enjoy.
Yeah, it looks really interesting and really fun. You know, honestly, it's super nice to have these kind of lightweight games, especially if you're going on like a trip or something.
Oh, yeah.
You know I love these small box games for when I'm going to be a long time on a train or a plane or an automobile.
Yeah.
And I'm going with a friend or my partner, and we can just break out something easy and fun.
Yeah.
Like this for sure. So
yeah, it's a light game,
Academy.
and even the components you can get a dice bag or something like that and put all the components and the cards in there. The cards are tarot size with beautiful art on them, but that's pretty much the largest component that you're going to be playing with.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah.
It's Gia Academy.
So Gia Academy, on the other hand of so that's one of the shorter games we have here. One of the longer games we have, though, is this Star Wars Outer Rim. Very exciting about this one. This came out from Fantasy Flight Games. They released this one yesterday. This is a really interesting game that goes from 1 to 4 players, where instead of playing like as the Rebel Alliance or as the Imperials, you are playing as effectively a smuggler. You are the single ship that is performing jobs across the galaxy. You're delivering goods, you're evading patrols, you're finding contacts, you're hunting bounties.
Is this a little bit like the Firefly game?
A little bit.
Okay.
There will be certainly some crossover there, because you are, instead of like commanding like an army, you are your own ship. Sometimes you're on the run. and you're also balancing. One of the very, very cool mechanics in this one is that you're balancing your relationships with the different factions. So there are factions of like the Hutts, the Rebels, the Alliance, and the Syndicate, I believe, are the 4. And as you perform actions, as you accept and complete bounties, you're going to gain reputation with some and lose reputation with others. Now, the reason that matters is while you're running through this galaxy, I'll show you on the back, there's a galaxy going across the entire board. That matters because there are going to be patrols running through those galaxies.
Oh.
And based on your reputation, that is going to cause you to either avoid them, get stopped by them, or maybe you're forced to fight them.
Okay. That sounds really interesting. A lot like a pirate game that I played. I can't think of the name of it, but it had really pretty, bright art, and it lasted a few hours. And that's all I can remember about it.
Oh, it could be, oh my gosh, it's the Marauders game.
Yes, Merchants and
Marauders,
yes.
Thank you. Merchants and Marauders,
yes.
You're juggling reputation with different factions to either, even just to gain passage through somewhere.
Yeah.
That
so same idea.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a very, very nice mechanic with not being like destroyed, but being defeated in this. You're forced to take a rest to do something. However, also, despite it being a 2 to 3 hour game, it's a race to 10 victory points. You get a victory point sometimes for capturing or like eliminating a bounty. You might get 2 victory points for capturing one.
So it sounds actually a lot like Merchants and Marauders.
And however, these victory points, again, the reason why this game is much longer is that those victory points are not easy to just get.
Right.
It's going to take you several turns to set up, fly across the galaxy, attempt to make a contact, and find out where someone is, and then choose what you're going to do with them. So yeah, this game has a lot of back and forth to it. There's a big market of cards that are both equipment, different ships, bounties, jobs, smuggling operations, that kind of thing, that are all available at every single planet you go to. And I think there are like 8 or 10 planets that you can jump to in this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that sounds like it's your speed, and if you like Star Wars, that is Star Wars Outer Rim for you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely give this one a shot. Despite it being one of the longer games, this is something that if a game's going to be taking 6 hours to play, generally we don't have it open in our library because it's kind of a moot point trying to set up and play that.
Yeah.
But Star Wars Outer Rim, we're probably going to have one of these available to play, to try out. You can even play it where you're going to be a shorter game where you're just going to 6 victory points instead.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. It looks super fun. I'm into this one as well.
Yes, you definitely get to do some backstabbing in that. There's some salty plays that can definitely happen, stealing bounties out from underneath other people.
And honestly, I like games where like I can go do my own thing and just kind of silently rack up victory points.
Oh, right. But people will see those victory points happen, so they're going to be like, oh, over there. Yes, we have to stop. We have to keep that from happening.
Kristen's doing some stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Star Wars Outer Rim. Again, it came out yesterday, so we're pretty excited to see that on the table.
Yeah, absolutely. What's next?
The Fates of Madness. So Fates of Madness, this is a game that, based on even the cards alone that I saw on the back, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty interesting. I couldn't tell how much of this was going to be, if there was going to be a dice rolling element or if there's going to be some sort of card engine going on in this. But there are tarot cards and loads of poker-style cards.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the way this game works is very much a group of fantasy heroes that you pick that get cards as equipment, and then you start building locations and spells, equipments and treasures and bosses. And we start going through these locations.
So you build this in game.
Or you build it ahead of time, but it gets randomized. So you end up building these small decks.
Okay.
Some of which you know what's coming up, much of which is going to be different every time.
Interesting.
Right.
Okay.
There are some very cool mechanics in this where the statistics on the monsters you may encounter aren't just how much damage they deal, it is who they choose to attack. And you actually set the order of who your heroes are in. So if you're at the front, you're the one that deals the most damage or something like that, and I'm the third one back and I have a bow, and the monster says they attack 3, they just walk past you and they come straight for me and they just start attacking.
Interesting.
So
okay.
it changes like the order of what you might want to do on your turn, how much armor they have, they can deflect magic. There's a lot of statistics that go into it, but the way the cards are laid out, it's very easy to read and see how it actually plays out.
Okay, so if you're looking for a game that's a little bit more cooperative.
Yes, again, this is a cooperative game. I'm sorry to say. Yes.
I understand that people like cooperative games. I get that.
Right. There is an objective here.
But you're working together to try and defeat the monster, right?
Right. So you're going through these locations. There's a trigger for when you find the boss. When you find 3 locations, you find then the boss after that.
Oh, okay.
However, each location that you randomly find has a value on it, and that value added together determines which monster is the boss. So going into every game, you don't know what you're going to be fighting. You don't know what equipment to give to each person as you go through that.
So you're just going to do the best you can and hope for the best.
Right. So you're figuring it out as you go, which I really like because you can't come in with an exact strategy every single time and then rinse and repeat. So there is a lot more replayability in this one. It does, however, I haven't looked into it, but I know it does have a 1-player mode to it as well.
Okay.
That stands out. There are a lot of games that are designed, 2 to 4, 2 to 5, but actually having a 1-player mode, especially in a cooperative game, it's kind of nice that you get to play against the game if you want to do that solo mode.
I also saw there was on the back, it says there's a game master option. Do anything about that?
So I haven't played.
Dug into it?
I haven't dug into that. So that may actually be your
my
side
style.
of the board,
Yeah.
where you may be choosing what monster to throw at them, looking at where the weak part of the party is, that kind of thing.
I love that there's several different ways to play this game, though. That's very interesting to me.
That's a big plus in the design. There are some games that the game will release and they'll release with a small expansion that lets you do something. When you have a game that's designed with a 1-player mode and a mode where a person gets to be the game master and many different monsters to choose from, multiple bosses that you don't know, that feels like expansions that are baked into the base
100%.
game. Right, and that just makes it have a lot more replayability. It makes you want to come back to it and try it several more times.
Yeah.
And if you are trying it several times, this is a game that's only going to go 30 minutes. You're going through like a small adventure.
Yeah, so you're going through the dungeon. That's really interesting. So it includes equipment, spell scrolls, potions, treasure, characters, monsters, scenario, and boss monsters.
Right.
Awesome. So I have friends that would be really into this, so I should probably pick this up for them.
Especially if you can be.
Especially if I could be the game master.
Yeah, the game master.
Yeah.
The one that it gets to fight against the party.
Exactly.
Well, excellent. That brings me then to the last one.
That's our last game. Okay.
That I'm bringing this week, which is this one here.
This giant boy.
This big boy
is, I think, the size of my torso.
Right. Yes. This one is called Monster Slaughter.
I think there's a way to pronounce that based on the font that they use. I believe, Andrew.
Oh.
It's Monster Slaughter.
Yes. Yeah. There's emphasis. You can see the emphasis that was put in there. Monster. Yeah. There it is.
There it is. Thank you.
So this game, Monster Slaughter, this is not a cooperative game. This takes place in a spooky cavern. Or not cavern, sorry, spooky cabin, where there are a group of guests there. And of course, something horrific happens on the full moon.
Right, as it does.
Right. You are not the guests trying to fend off these monsters. In this game, you are families of monsters trying to out-slaughter the other monsters.
Also not a family-friendly game, probably.
Probably not super family-friendly.
mean, depends on your family, I guess.
Right. Depends where, you know.
I was watching RoboCop at 9, so
Right.
this definitely would have been up our alley.
That explains a lot. Now.
It does, yeah.
So Monster Slaughter, they go into these families that you get to choose. Are very
Families
cool.
of monsters.
Right. Families of monsters. So you have like the werewolves, you have the zombies, you have the aliens. They take up a lot of the different tropes of horror movies. That's really, really fun that you can get behind. Although they are relatively balanced, each of them have special abilities to them as well. So you actually get to be, they're not just different colors for different players. Like for the miniatures, it's going to be actually different effects as you go in the game.
So it's a little asymmetrical?
Oh yeah, it's a little asymmetrical to a degree, but you're all performing the same choices
Tasks.
of actions and tasks, that kind of thing.
Okay.
What's really neat about this is that there are the guests that are listed here on the back of the box, as you can see, and then each of the families actually gets to set out those guests face down in the order that you want them to die. So you're not only predicting, but you're predicting and trying to influence sort of the story of the demise of these characters in the cabin.
I love it.
And then you even get to put a target of like your favorite meal. Like if I'm the one that finishes this person off, then I get additional victory points to it.
So it looks like we've got many different factions, well, 5 different factions to choose from, and a lot of minis.
Oh yeah, there's
31 minis to be exact.
Right, and the reason the minis are important are because the board itself is a cabin. It has walls to it that are barricaded. It has doors that the people can run through as they get scared.
Yeah. So it's a little bit like what is that game that I don't like that everyone loves? With the walls and you go through it. Nope. It's cooperative.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It must be where people are working together.
It is.
Oh. I'm not sure about that one. But this one, the walls can actually be destroyed. They can be broken down, and then there's a broken section of the cabin that the monsters can move freely through. However, these minis aren't visible all the time. If there isn't a miniature in the room with one of the guests, they immediately hide. And their card gets slipped into a deck that belongs in that room.
Okay.
Then that room can have traps in it that the characters have put there as you're searching for them. You can scare them from one room to the other to move them away from, maybe you're about to finish someone off that I wanted to. I might try to scare them out of your room to run to the other, and then try and get there first.
This game looks great. Yeah. Honestly, I'm really into this.
Yeah, it's super campy. It's like...
even the back, I believe, said, based on like a classic 1980s horror film, you know, which is really fantastic. So a little bit of nostalgia in there for you as well. It looks like it plays in about 60 minutes.
Yeah, this is one that's, I think, going to have, although the components are actually very, very well done, and they actually show you a lot of what they do and give you a lot of icons to help guide you through. This one is going to take a little bit of time just to set up and learn. If it's your first time through, I would expect a little bit more than an hour. Sure. But on average, yes, it's going to be about an hour or under.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was that our last game of the day?
Yeah, that's our last game of the day. There were a couple other games that we're looking forward to, but aren't quite out. Some games that we've gotten demos for early that we haven't gotten to release yet.
Well, I can't wait to see those.
So it may be on one of these new release roundups. We may be bringing in some of our demos that we got sent ahead of time just to show off the game and what to look forward to.
Absolutely, and then you can take that to your friendly local game store and say, hey, please make sure you order this.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. Let them know because the more people playing games, it's just a wonderful community that we want to grow.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Andrew, thank you again so much for joining us. Thank you so much for explaining each of these games to us, and I really appreciate you taking the time to explain, who might like it, and especially, even if you don't like it, like me, in co-op games, I
Right.
know people that would. So New Release Rundown is also a place to get those gift ideas if you've got friends' birthdays
absolutely.
coming up.
That actually also happens a lot. If you ever have questions about games, even if you're just not sure what to get, come in. Ask
Yeah.
us. We're always happy to talk about games and walk you through whatever questions you have.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us. This has been New Release Rundown, which we confuse, even internally, we call this New Release Roundup. So
Right.
I think we're
Right.
going to rebrand
Yeah.
to New Release Roundup. We're going to have to wear cowboy hats because it sounds a little bit like used cars.
I'm in.
Right? But I'm thinking this is the way we're going to go with this, right?
Yeah.
I need a little rope.
Yeah,
to
the
swing.
lasso?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, gosh.
The New Release Roundup.
We're going to do that. Hooey.
Thank you so much for sticking around. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope that you found a game that you liked today, or maybe a game for your friend. Next week, you can catch Peter Atkinson. He's back for Fireside. That's Wednesdays at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Brothers Murph are on before that on Monday evenings, 5 p.m. Pacific. So let me do the math here, 6, 7, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm a communications major.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I have to count on my fingers. What do we have past that? Gen Con News on Tuesday. We stream every single day here on Gen Con, except for Thursdays, I think. So join us for Gen Con News if you're headed to Gen Con. We've got news for you on Tuesdays. And then next Friday, we're back with Table Takes. Derek and Emma will be back from Origins, so we'll get to hear all of their Origin stories, which will be very exciting. And we'll be back with New Release Roundup next week as well. Everyone have a great weekend and great rest of your Friday. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.